Hello and welcome to episode number 7 of the Unit 42 Beyond the Hunt series. My name is Ryan with Unit 42 Managed Threat Hunting, and I'm here to talk about some of the active campaigns that we looked at in May 2024. If you're not yet familiar with the series, and how dare you, head on back to episode number 1 where we give the foundation for what the series is all about, which, by the way, is covering the prior month's top ticket kind of active campaigns, threat actors, things of that nature. Let's jump right into it and take a look at what we'll be covering in this episode, which includes a social engineering attack that has been tied to the Basta ransomware operators, along with a malware campaign known as Ghost Engine, which uses a novel method or novel methods in order to install coin miners. So let's get right into it. The Basta ransomware operators were tied to a campaign by Rapid7, by the way. Love where love belongs, if you will, if you know what I mean. And they were using a methodology that's pretty simplistic and kind of old school in nature, but something a bit novel in that we haven't seen it a lot. They were spamming or basically mail bombing, to take you back to the 90s, if I can date myself here, user inboxes, and then they were calling the users and assisting them, quote unquote, with their email problems. Their goal was to install a remote monitoring and maintenance utility like AnyDesk, or simply just using Microsoft's built-in Quick Assist, which is a remote screen sharing, remote control methodology built into Windows, in order to gain access to the victim systems. Once they gained access, they ran scripts. An example scriptlet, if you will, is seen here in figure 1, and it basically just brings a prompt up to the user and says, hey, we need your credentials, right? Their username and password. They put it in, and then SCP is used to exfiltrate that data outbound to the threat actor. Here we have a screenshot from Cortex XDR showing one of these scripts running. MTH, we helped with one of these particular cases, and this is directly from that case. For our reference, we have the Rapid7 blog, of course, for you to look at, but hunting query-wise, we have exfiltration using command.exe, so SCP being called, curl being called, a couple things from the campaign. We also have IOCs, domain-based, IP address-based, and file hash-based. And then we've got one that looks at launch TM spawning command.exe or PowerShell, which is part of the campaign. For your recommendations, establish a baseline. Whatever RMMs you use, block the others. If you use AnyDesk, Screentop, Terra, Splash Top, whatever it might be, right? Make sure that you're not allowing other ones to be used in your environment. And we have a reference that you can just basically click on if you were to receive our report, but we'll give you the link in the video description that shows the name of some popular RMMs and a domain to block. If you have an application-aware firewall, you can also block via, for example, remote assistance, remote connectivity, or even RMM, whatever the categories your firewall has, and then approve yours right above it in the firewall list, right? Another thing that we looked at was a campaign known as Ghost Engine. And this is novel because it is a campaign that's used to install a coin miner, specifically the XM Rig coin miner, which is extremely popular. And I'll just give you the breakdown from Elastic Security by showing the beautiful diagram they put together. So TI Worker is a well-known Windows process, and in this case, this is an unsigned version of it's not actually TI Worker, right? What this would do is it would download quote-unquote PNG files, as in like graphics, but in reality, they're obfuscated PowerShell scripts. Those scripts would eventually install the Ghost Engine module, known as Smart Screen with 2 S's, by the way. And that would use well-known vulnerable drivers in order to disable EDR, in addition to another PowerShell script. There's a multitude of them masquerading as a PNG file. And it would disable your security tooling, essentially. From there, it would install the coin miner, and then, of course, your machine resources are being used to, for profit of the threat actors. We have a number of hunting queries we provided to our clients, including abnormal processes associated with the campaign, PowerShell writing quote-unquote PNG files, looking at expand.exe, expanding PNG files, which wouldn't make sense in general. Why would you expand? It's not an archive, right? Like, well, what's going on there? Well, it is. And then also one for scheduled task creation associated with the overall campaign. We have a reference for Elastic who brought this to our attention. And recommendation wise is basically just keep your eyes on PowerShell scripting, 4103, 4104 events within your environment, keeping an eye on XDR or whatever your EDR might be, alerts for coin miners, because a lot of people just kind of ignore those, and you don't want that. So that wraps up this particular episode. If you would like to learn more about the Unit 42 MDR and or MTH teams, we have a link in the video description. As always, like and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And again, my name is Ryan with Unit 42 Managed Threat Hunting, and I will see you next time.